No fear in the end, reflections on death, courage, and the Stoic path. I cannot escape death, but at least I can escape the fear of it. Epictetus, the last enemy, death, is the great equalizer. It comes for kings and beggars, geniuses and fools, saints and criminals alike. And yet, for most of human history, it has remained our greatest fear. But what if fear of death is not inevitable? What if, like Epictetus wrote, we can escape not the fact of death, but its power over us? In this reflection, we'll explore what it means to face death with composure. Through Stoic wisdom, stories of ancient philosophers, and modern echoes in films and real life, we'll see how mastering the fear of death is perhaps the most radical form of freedom. The nature of death. What are we really afraid of? Is it the pain, the unknown, the loss of identity? Seneca, the Roman Stoic, pointed out that we don't fear death when we sleep. What we fear is the idea of not existing, or worse, of being forgotten. But the Stoics taught that death is neither good nor bad. It simply is, like birth, like winter, like nightfall, and fearing what is natural, what is inevitable, is irrational. It robs us of life while we are still living. The Stoic perspective, death as liberation. For the Stoics, death was not an enemy, but a boundary, a reminder of time's limits, and a call to virtue. Epictetus, crippled in youth and enslaved for years, taught his students to remember death daily, not as a source of anxiety, but of clarity. Memento mori, remember, you will die, was not morbid, but empowering. Marcus Aurelius, Emperor of Rome, wrote, you could leave life right now. Let that determine what you do and say and think. To the Stoics, the best way to prepare for death is to live so well that when the end comes, you have no regrets. The illusion of control. We fear death because we cannot control it, and yet, the Stoics remind us that trying to control the uncontrollable is the root of all suffering. You can't choose when you die, but you can choose how you meet it. You can't prolong your life forever, but you can live the time you have with presence and purpose. As Epictetus said, it is not death that a man should fear, but never beginning to live. Hollywood and the hero's death cinema, especially in Hollywood, has given us powerful images of men and women who meet death with grace, not fear. In Gladiator, Maximus dies not as a defeated general, but as a man who has fulfilled his duty, who finds peace in the afterlife. In Braveheart, William Wallace cries freedom, as he is executed, choosing courage over compromise. In The Green Mile, John Coffey faces his death with quiet sorrow, but without fear, understanding his role in a greater narrative. These stories resonate because they echo a deeper truth. Death itself is not terrifying. Cowardice is. Socrates, Death with Dignity, the trial of Socrates, is one of the greatest examples of confronting death without fear. Offered the chance to escape, Socrates declined. He believed in the laws of Athens and accepted the hemlock. Why? Because he feared dishonor more than death. Because to him, death was not the end, but a continuation of the philosophical search. He told his accusers, to fear death, gentlemen, is no other than to think oneself wise when one is not. Socrates didn't just teach philosophy, he embodied it, even in death. A modern parallel, Viktor Frankl and meaning in suffering in the Nazi concentration camps. Psychiatrist Viktor Frankl witnessed death daily. But he also saw something else, the power of attitude. Some prisoners gave up, others endured. Why? Because the latter had purpose, a sense of meaning. Frankl wrote, everything can be taken from a man, but one thing, the last of the human freedoms, to choose one's attitude in any given set of circumstances, freedom from fear, even in the face of death, begins with purpose. Death in Eastern philosophy. Letting go. Stoicism is not alone in its view of death. Buddhism teaches non-attachment, the end of self, ego, and fear. Zen monks meditate on death to dissolve the illusion of separateness. The Tao Te Ching says, he who lives in harmony with the Tao dies without fear. Across cultures, the sages agree, Fear of death arises from clinging to identity, to permanence, to illusions. Letting go is not weakness, it's wisdom, real life stories. Facing death without fear. Consider Randy Pausch, the Carnegie Mellon professor who gave the last lecture while dying of cancer. He didn't use his remaining time to despair, but to teach, to love, to reflect, and to leave a legacy of joy and truth. Or the firefighter who runs into a burning building. The nurse during a pandemic who chooses to serve. The father who shields his child. Death may be present, but fear is not. Courage is. Meditations and practices to overcome fear of death. How can we, like them, prepare ourselves? Memento mori. Remind yourself daily, you will die. Let it guide your priorities. Reflective journaling. What would I do today if I had 1 year left? 1 week, 1 hour, service to others. Focus on contribution rather than consumption. Virtue over comfort. Train yourself to choose meaning over safety. Stillness practice. Learn to sit with the silence, to face yourself, and to know peace. Freedom from fear is not a sudden achievement, it's a discipline. Conclusion. The choice is yours. You cannot escape death, but you can escape the fear of it, not by denying it, not by avoiding it, but by confronting it, by understanding it, by rising above it. Live so well that when death comes, you don't shrink, you stand. In the words of Marcus Aurelius, it is not death that we should fear, but never beginning to live. Start now, not with fear, but with freedom.